Hello friends. So now that we've talked about the Komodo dragon a little bit and what he looks like, we're going to see if we can draw one. So we figured out that he definitely has a pretty long neck, right? You notice that right away about him. His face, his head, is pretty long too. He has nostrils that you can definitely see. He's got pretty big scales and he has some really interesting eyes. He's also got a really long body, a pretty long tail. His front legs, you can usually see his kind of elbows bent, and his back legs, you really see his knees, and then he's got some pretty long claws too, right? So let's think about those shapes first, and then we can kind of draw some lines over the shapes, okay? So his body is going to be kind of a long oval shape, right? And we can change it a little bit as we draw. So we want to make sure we draw really softly at first so that we can change things. So I'm going to start by drawing a few ovals, okay? First is going to be kind of the shape of his body. And I want it to be really long and really oval. And I am drawing really super softly, okay? His body. His tail will be here, his legs, his neck, and his head, okay? His head, we know that his neck is pretty long, so I'm gonna leave lots of space for his neck, and I'm gonna put his head right around here. And again, it's pretty long, right? And then I can join his head to his body, right? That's the back of his head, and this is the front of his neck, okay? Then we know he's got front legs, and they kind of, if we can draw them as ovals first, the top of his front leg and the bottom of his front leg. So I'm drawing really softly because I want you to see the shapes, okay? So I overlapped those ovals a little bit. And then he's gonna just have claws on the bottom. And I'm gonna give him big claws. I think he actually has 5. And then the back leg kind of looks like the front leg, except it's bent the other way. So instead of the 2 ovals going this way, they're gonna go the opposite. So that's the top of his back leg and the bottom of his back leg. All right, if that seems hard to do, it's okay to just draw these lines. But I wanted you to see what it looks like kind of inside, that it's made of overlapping ovals. And then I'm gonna give him claws again. And then he's got a long tail, and I'm gonna let his tail, I don't have that much space on the end of my paper, so I'm gonna make his tail kind of wrap around like he's holding it up. And the other side of his tail. And it's gotta come and meet at the end. Okay. Now I probably would see his legs on the other side. And this leg, these legs are a little further away in the distance because they're on the other side of his body, right? So they're further away from me, right? These legs would be close to me, so they look bigger. These legs are further away, so they're gonna look a little smaller. I think I could have made this one a little bigger than I did, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna give him some ground to stand on. I like to make my ground a little wavy, right? And then we can look at his head. Okay, so his eyes are kind of right in the middle, maybe a little further back from the middle, around here. And he's got the little reflection. I actually like to leave that little circle like that. And then his mouth will come way back. Sometimes I think it helps to make it curve down a little bit, looks a little more lizard-like. And then he has the nostrils up in the front. And I would only see probably the one on this side because the other one's on the other side, right? And kind of like to make his eyes seem like it's sticking up a little bit. You can add more lines around his eyes if you want. He definitely has a lot of wrinkles around his eyes if we look at the photos, right? Okay, so I have all these sort of extra lines because I drew it with shapes, right? I drew an oval. I drew oval for his head and I connected it. And ovals overlapping for his legs, right? But I don't want all those inside lines to show. So I'm going to erase them. So this is why you want to draw really, really softly. And if you didn't draw really softly, it's okay. You can let this be a practice one, or you can color over it because they can be a few different colors, right? Kind of a beigeish, kind of a dark green. They have green splotches, but I want to get rid of those inside shapes of all these ovals that I drew, right? Because we couldn't really see those ovals, right? So now that I've gotten rid of all those shape lines, I'm gonna come back and just see if I can trace over the lines I drew. I don't think I have to trace the claws again. There's his tummy. I might make his tummy stick down a little bit more than it was. Maybe he just ate something. Okay. And I might make his back come up a little bit too. So you can change your dragon now if you want to. I decided he seemed a little bit on the skinny side, so I'm gonna change him. And then if you want to add some kind of stripes, or their necks can look really wrinkly, they can be very splotchy, they could be they can have a lot of scales. You could cover them with scales if you want. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so we're going to look at a lot of those pictures. Okay, I could keep going and cover him with scales, but I'm going to stop because I think you know what I mean. You don't have to draw scales. You could just color him solid if you want. It's up to you because he is your dragon. Okay, guys, so again, shapes first, okay? Big oval, little oval for head, and then his front legs had an oval and an oval, 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 back legs oval, 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 and they crisscross where the knees are, or well, where the elbows, if they have elbows, are. Okay, guys? All right, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.